Hey friends, Peggy Hall here from the healthyamerican.org, and I am back with you for the Healthy American Morning. And I hope that it is a beautiful morning where you are. Please let me know where you are tuning in from, and let's make it a beautiful morning together. It is absolutely a picture perfect fall day here in sunny Southern California. Many people say, Peggy, I can't believe you're still living in California. I love California. I'm a lifelong Californian. Now, the politics, which we're not going to talk about, I don't care for, but I love the people, I love the state, and I am never, ever giving up. And I want to help you deal with whatever you're dealing with in terms of your emotions today. We are dedicating this week to releasing, processing, and acknowledging and feeling intense emotions. And I've titled this week's series, All Emotions Are Valid. Yesterday, we talked about dealing with anger appropriately. You're not punching your fist through a wall or through a person. You're not throwing plates. You're not terrorizing the neighborhood. But there are ways to deal with anger. Today, we are going to talk about dealing with sadness. And this, I believe, in my experience, has been the emotion that people, now society doesn't like it when people get angry, but I think people like when they get angry. Sadness is something that individuals mainly shy away from, expressing sadness. We're going to talk all about that. What I want to do is take just a brief moment to hang on one second. I am not leaving the meeting. I want to share my screen so that I can bring you a brief message from my sponsor. And let's hop right on over to healthwithpeggy.com. The sponsors are how I am able to bring you these shows every morning. This has become my full-time job, and I'm so grateful for it. So the message I have for you is collagen sales have been surging for the past 2 years. And this is because the message I have for you is a little bit different this morning. What I want to tell you is that you only have to do one thing to combat aging. And I want to do that one thing, and I am doing it. And that is to take collagen. I take this ageless multi-collagen every single day. But there is a problem. Most other collagen supplements out there do not work. And that's why the secret here is in ageless multi-collagen. And you can go to healthwithpeggy.com. That's where you can find it. It is the most effective collagen for anti-aging out there, in my opinion. And it's true. I have taken different kinds, and this is the only one that I like and that works well for me. And thousands of users agree, and they notice their skin looking and feeling younger after routinely taking it. And men also report increased muscle mass. It's the best anti-aging supplement that I've tried, and within no time, there has been a noticeable difference in my wrinkles. If you have been looking for a way to reduce the appearance of wrinkles, you will love Health with Peggy. And you can get 51% off Health with Peggy for the next 24 hours by going here, healthwithpeggy.com. I will also have a link for you in the description box below. Let's talk about dealing with sadness. There are many emotions that can fall under that heading of sadness. There is momentary sadness, and then there is long-lasting sadness. There is a type of sadness that can get mixed in with despair. Often sadness, when it's not expressed, will settle in and it will become depression. Many people I have found, let me know if this is true for you, were told growing up, get over it, you don't have it that bad, quit your crying or I'll give you something to cry about, wipe your tears, especially for men. Men don't cry, stop being a baby. I can't believe you're not over it. Comments like this. Do any of those relate to you? Maybe you've heard them, maybe you've said them, maybe you've seen them in a movie or a book or something. There's an overall feeling that being sad and expressing your sadness is somehow a sign of weakness. Unlike anger, where people sometimes can be cheering others on, like, yeah, that's right. And they can get all caught up in the anger and they really sort of like it. And I've noticed that difference in sadness. Any emotion that stays stuck is going to have an effect in our body, in our mind, in our spirit, in our life. These stuck emotions can show up as physical problems in our body. That's a topic for another day. The topic for today is, how do we release these emotions? How do we process them? How do we acknowledge them and kind of clear them out, like clearing out the clutter, so that we don't become stuck? That is the actual piece to the puzzle that we want to solve today. And I want to say hello to everyone. Thank you for giving me a thumbs up and that like button. If you're watching on your phone, I know a lot of you are. I was told that you have to minimize the chat in order to hit that like. And the reason I ask for your help with that is so that other people will see this video as well. And we've got Rhonda on board as one of our moderators. And Sonia says that she chooses to be happy. It's sad what is happening to America, but the great thing is in the book of that the book of Daniel's prophecy is here. Holy Hummer says in the 70s and 80s, movies had that culture language. Get over it, grow up. You don't have it so bad. I can't believe you're still holding on to that sadness. Put a happy smile on. And I really want to address that. And yeah, Mama Lula's on board today because she asked me over the last couple of episodes that I had that she felt angry seeing the kids in the scams. How can I, well, actually what she said is, I can't feel positive about kids in the scam. And there are situations in life where we feel, we acknowledge, we address, we allow, we actually appreciate these feelings of anger, of sadness, even of regret, because these can be instructional to us. So when I see kids that are being abused, when I see animals being abused, I don't feel positive. There's no positive spin on that. I feel outrage. I feel angry. I feel indignant. I feel like I could go just, tell them right to their face. And there are times when I've done that because now I may or may not have expressed that emotion appropriately at the time, but acknowledging that I am angry about this situation. I am sad. It breaks my heart. It grieves me deeply when I see these kids being abused. And I acknowledge that. And then we use these emotions to inform us, and then ideally to take positive action about it. So the feeling may not be positive, but we can take a positive action. I had the example of printing out cards, and I actually have them. I've done a lot of cards over this last year and a half. And one card I had all of the dangers of the scam. And then on the other side, it had all of the laws or the lack of the laws that said there is no law. So many people are so ignorant, even to this day. They think that there is a law that they have to wear this. It's absolutely ludicrous. So you can hear again, I'm getting into my indignation phase, but the positive action that comes out of that is doing what, for example, what we're doing here. We're coming together, we're supporting each other, we're processing through these emotions, and we're not just yelling stuff at the people as they walk by. I've done that too. So we are using these emotions to instruct us and then to move ahead in a positive manner or in an impactful manner. When it comes to sadness, it is an emotion that some people think will go on forever. And because of that, they may be, I'm going to use the word fearful, and they may be hesitant, and they may be holding back from completely diving into that river of pain because they think they are going to drown. What happens often with people that are avoiding the sadness that they've experienced in life because either they think they won't be able to handle it or get over it, or that it will be overwhelming. And I have remedies for this, or they want to deny it. You know what happens is they seek other ways to relieve their pain. This is what drives a lot of people to drinking, to drug use. I guess smoking, I think, is more of a stress reduction, but definitely drugs are to numb the pain. And overeating is a huge tool. It's not a very good tool, but it's a huge coping mechanism that people will use to cover up their pain, the pain of the sadness. Now, sometimes people eat out of anger, like they'll crunch the potato chips because they're really angry, stress, that all is a part of it for sure. Sadness, in my 20 plus years of helping people through emotional eating, that has been what's come up a lot. And the sad thing about that is often they don't even know that's at the root of their issue. There is such sadness that has been buried and shut away and put in the closets and piled up with clothing and then piled up with excess weight because they, in there, maybe even unconsciously, don't realize that they will be able to handle it. Friends and lovely, healthy Americans, I'm so glad that we can have these intimate conversations. And those of you that are asking for my help with all of the other oppression that's going on, please come back at 3 p.m. I promise. I have a whole different outlook at 3 p.m. and we roll up our sleeves and we dive in and you see me flip my lid and go on rants and all of that. But I'm so grateful that we can set that aside for these 25, 30 minutes together in the morning. And my message for you is this: you can feel your emotions without letting them drown you. You are able to acknowledge your emotions, to say oh, that's what anger feels like. I think I'm feeling sad. And I would like to know in a comment, let's explore just for a moment. It's safe and suitable. When I feel sad, I'm going to tell you how I feel physically. And I'd like you to tell me, when I feel sad, there's a heaviness on my chest. There is a lump in my throat. Tears come to my eyes, sometimes stinging tears. Sometimes the sadness gets mixed in with the anger. But the pure sadness is deep, deep, deep inside, where the anger and the rage for me is like very surface, very outward, very, visible and physical. The sadness for me is very interior. It's very, very deep. It's very private. And it seems like the deepest emotion I could ever feel is sadness. It just gets into my depths of my soul. And it feels unique to me and private, like no one can ever understand. And so those are some of the physical things that I feel. I feel heavy. I feel lack of energy. I feel emotionally exhausted. I feel put upon, like I've got a bunch of clothes on and I'm trying to swim in the water, weighed down. Now, the reason I'm sharing all of these expressions is because some of our lovely, healthy Americans may have been so equipped at not feeling sadness, they don't even know what it feels like. And they don't want to experience everything I just mentioned. They're like, Peggy, I think I got to get off this show right now because I do not even want to go there. That, my friends, is an indication of avoidance. There are other things that come out in our life when we have not expressed our sadness. We often live in fear because we don't want to experience sadness. We no longer take risks because we think we might fail. And the disappointment can be a part of sadness, maybe not as, for me, disappointment is irritating, but it's not the deep, deep depths of my soul like sadness. It can all be mixed in. Some people will not take those risks because they don't want to feel everything I just explained. But the good news is those things are temporary. And the longer you draw it out, in my experience, and the longer you avoid it, letting it just be under the surface, it's kind of like having dirty laundry that you never wash. You know it's there. You're like, oh, I really need to do the laundry. Oh, I think I'll do it tomorrow. And it's there and it's in the back of your mind. And it's something that you just don't really want to deal with. But after you do the laundry and everything is fresh and clean, yes, it takes effort to do that. It comes out, it's refreshed, it's clean, it's light. And that is what happens when we experience sadness. Let me give you 5 ways that you can experience and express and move on from your sadness rather than covering it up with overeating. You know, people that are workaholics, I don't put myself in that category. I know I work hard, but for me, it's not work. It's just my life. So I'm not a workaholic. Is someone who, I would love to know your definition of a workaholic. A workaholic is someone who works to the point that they are neglecting other responsibilities, possibly even harming others by their overworking. Whereas just working 24/7 like I do, my husband and I work together. I'm not neglecting other duties. There's no harm that I can see that comes from it. So that's my own personal definition of boundaries. Of workaholics are just driven, and often they are using that as a coping mechanism to overcome the pain, to avoid the pain. And I know people that are constantly busy, that are always on the go. And some of these people that I know, there's a deep sadness and loss that is under the surface, that they are going to stay so busy that they never have time to consider it. That's one coping mechanism. The issue with that is it's like the dirty laundry. It's going to be harmful in the long term. People who have unresolved sadness, and there have been studies done on this. So people who have unresolved anger, right? They stuff their anger. We hear about them having heart attacks and strokes and high blood pressure because that is sort of that anger. Sadness manifests itself more in problems of the lungs. So a lot of difficulty breathing. It can also be heart problems. There can be, and I am not a doctor. I'm not giving you any medical advice whatsoever, but I think all of you know and may have read about the body manifesting disease based on our emotions or unexpressed emotions. And when you think of it, our heart is where we'll say, oh, I have a broken heart. We don't say in a moment of sadness, oh, I have a broken liver, or, we use the heart when we talk about sadness and, oh, it's hard to breathe. I'm crying so much. I can't catch my breath. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic, isn't it? About breathing. But we feel sadness in the realm of our heart, of our lungs, even our shoulders, our chest, right? All of that. I know that there are some of you that have studied the ethereal body. Is that the correct word? And emotions and all of that. I've done a deep study on that as well. What I want to focus on today is addressing those emotions and then releasing them so that they don't cause problems for us, either physical problems or emotional problems down the road. The number one, we have 5 things. Number 1 is you simply become aware of it. How am I feeling today is something I ask myself a lot. What am I thinking? Why am I thinking it? What am I feeling? Why am I feeling it? So if you feel like I don't want to get out of bed today, I want to cozy up with all the covers, I'm feeling a little heavy, I'm feeling a little flat, I'm feeling just not quite with it, it's valid. It's all right. I do not want anyone to rush you out of your tears or your sadness. That's the exact opposite of what this show is all about. This show is about being authentic. So you become aware of your feelings. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about guilt and regret, and those all can get mixed up in other things like anxiety and depression and worry and all of that. The sadness is valid. And if you're feeling sad about your situation in life, I want you to acknowledge it. I want you to say, yeah, I feel sad because this is sad. My animals are getting older. I have a sweet little kitty cat that's got kidney disease. I'm not happy about that. I'm sad. It grieves me. It pains me when I see that, when I see the aging going on. I have a loved one that is also nearing the end of her life. And it's like, oh my gosh, that is so sad. And I want to feel sad. I hope I'm feeling sad. I would be a psychopath. And if I wasn't able to feel emotions. So I'm not going to put a happy spin on that feeling at this moment. I want to acknowledge the feeling. That is very sad. It's sad when I think about some of my family members that are now in heaven. And then later on, after I feel sad, I can focus on their eternal glory that they are experiencing. So these emotions are appropriate. These emotions are valid. And I want you to feel that you have the wherewithal to, first of all, just acknowledge it. So number 1, awareness. What am I feeling? All right. Number two, accept it. Maybe I'm going to give you 6 things today. Accept it. Like, it's okay. It's okay to feel sad. Sadness is a valid emotion, and I have a right to feel exactly how I want to feel. And I have friends my age who have grown children who then the children are always trying to change the emotions of the parent. Mom, you shouldn't feel that way. Excuse me, I have the right to feel any way I want to, and so do you. So this is not about you telling other people not to feel that way either. We all have the right to our emotions. Now, my goal in this week is to help you. I'm just sharing my tools. My goal in all of this is I want to have I want to add positive value to your life. I would like you to come away from these shows connecting with others, supporting others, getting support and giving support in our encouragement community. Robin, thank you for being on board as a moderator. I really appreciate that. Yes, acknowledge and allow. Aren't those beautiful words? I feel better just hearing them. I'm going to acknowledge what's going on. I'm going to allow it. Just like the weather, it's going to take its course. Now, you can wish that it wasn't raining, or you could wish that it was raining. But the fact is, that's a topic for another day too. Who controls the weather? But the fact is, the rain is going to stop at a certain point. The sadness will run, these emotions will run its course, and you can be a partner in the processing of it with my tips. So you are going to acknowledge and allow what's going on. It's valid and it's fine. Now, let's dive into the actual activities. Yesterday, we talked about the physical release of anger. I like to do physical exercise. That helps me get my anger out. I'll go for a brisk walk. I'll hit some pillows. I'll go for a swim. I'll do some jumping jacks. I will do something to get that anger out. Very vigorous exercise. Now, when I'm sad, vigorous exercise is the last thing I want to do. I just don't even have the energy to do it. The physical expression of sadness is crying. Yes, my friends, God created us with tears. The tears that we shed when we cry, I think this is so fascinating, have a different chemical composition than the tears right here to keep your eyes moist. And as you're just, the little windshield wipers with your eyelids, those tears are lubricating tears. This is God's amazing design. When you cry, the composition of tears contain God's own molecules of, this may not be the right word, but it comes to mind. They're almost like anesthetizing chemicals. It's a self-soothing mechanism. It's almost like having your own painkiller. That's what's in those tears. Imagine when people are holding back the tears. That's like saying, I have a headache, but I'm not going to take the remedy. And some people don't. I understand that. But you are preventing God's mechanism from helping you feel better. Tears are not a sign of weakness. Tears are a sign of sadness. I would love if somebody would echo that in the comments. Tears are not a sign of weakness. They're a sign of sadness. And sadness is a valid emotion when you've had a loss or when something grieves your heart. And it is important to express the sadness physically. Now, sometimes you may be moved to tears about something, but you're crying about something else. I have had this experience. I have had multiple losses in my life, some at a very young age. And, well into my stage of life, I find that I can cry over something that happened 40 years ago because I didn't express the sadness and the grief then. It all gets mixed in together, and that's okay. Some people will watch a movie and the movie will bring them to tears. And it's that sadness was a little bit at the surface and they didn't even know it. And you may be moved to tears just because of the movie. I was reading a book the other night. Yes, I actually took a hot bath and I was reading a novel. And there was a section in it about the mother and daughter having lunch and trying to heal some past emotions. And I thought, oh, here we go. It's going to have a fairy tale ending. And it didn't. And I wasn't sobbing, but I had tears. And I thought, wow, this feels so good to shed these tears, not for what's going on in the book, but for some of my own sadness that I've experienced in life. I actually look for those opportunities to shed tears because I know every time I do a little bit more, healing is taking place. That's the other thing I would like to say. Tears are healing. They carry within themselves the chemicals that are self-soothing, and they're God's natural painkillers. And every time you cry, instead of thinking, there I go again, I'm falling into the abyss of tears. No, you're healing. Each bout of crying is an opportunity for healing. You're moving forward. You're moving through it. Now, another way physically of getting rid of, not getting rid, that wasn't very accurate. Another way of expressing and releasing and processing, that's a better word, your sadness physically is, why not stay in bed? Why not take a bath? Why not cuddle up under the covers? Maybe you have a loved one or an animal that you can cuddle with. Maybe you can share a hug with a trusted friend. These are physical ways of expressing and processing sadness. All right. I highly recommend it. When my mom was dying, I have had a trusted friend. And this is another thing I want you to do, is get support in your sadness. You can get support from a caring friend. I really recommend that you think outside of your immediate family. Your family loves you. They want you to feel better. And your family's going to say, there, it's all over. Don't worry about it. And they'll start talking about all the positives. They don't want you to wallow in your sadness, but they don't want you to feel your sadness. So someone else might be a better choice for you. And I had a trusted friend, and I remember driving to her house. I thought, I can't believe this. I'm not dealing with this very well. The sadness is overwhelming. I need some help. And I drove to her house and I brought a bath towel for my tears. And she said, Peggy, I will never forget you coming over with a bath towel to absorb all your tears, because a Kleenex tissues was not going to work. And she sat, I will cry right now thinking about it. She sat quietly while I sobbed, I wept, I grieved. She received my emotions without judgment, without telling me, oh, it'll get better. No, it's not going to get better. My mom's going to die. That's not going to get better. This is sad. There's a huge loss that I'm facing. And she was there for me again and again. And she did many other caring acts, like bringing a plate of food when I had no ability. I just was so sad. I couldn't cook. I couldn't eat. So find a person. There, you can find it online. There are many caring counselors. Pastor David and I are going to be doing a weekly spiritual encouragement that I hope you will join us in. And we also have our beach church the first Sunday of every month in San Clemente at 11 a.m. at North Beach. So if you can find a caring person that will receive your sadness without trying to justify it, question it, make you feel better, hurry it along, you don't need that. You need someone to say, I'm so sorry too. This is so sad. I feel for you. Maybe share a hug, literally have a shoulder to cry on. That's my second recommendation. My third recommendation is that you write it out. We talked about that yesterday, writing out the anger. So you get a notebook that no one is going to read, and you don't even have to keep it. You could tear it up and throw it away. And you can just say, I am so sad. I have notebooks about my mom's last phase of life. And I go back now and I can read those notebooks. It's been 6 years. And I knew that I wanted to capture some of my emotions, and I wanted to capture many things, many memories, happy memories, sad memories, my frustrations, my anger, all of that I wrote out. And I think I called it Mom's Notebook or Notebook for Mom, and I actually came across that the other day, and I can reread it in little bits and pieces. And that's the other thing, is you don't have to immerse yourself in the sorrow all at once. So you can take it in doses. I also recommend having some healthy time frames to experience these emotions. So I was working at the time of my mom's passing. And although I took all the time off while her life was ending, but afterwards, I actually wanted to go back to work because I wanted to just not be alone with my sadness. And I wanted to have support of other people. So I gave myself this time frame of, okay, when I go to work, I'm going to focus as much as possible on my work, which is teaching, and on my students and on the enjoyment of that. And many of them knew my mom, so we had sort of a shared sadness. And then I'm going to allow this time at the end of the day or before I go to bed, and that's where I'm going to really dive into the sorrow. And then I personally am going to take myself out of that river of pain. I'm going to climb up on the shore. I'm going to see that pain out there flooding by. And I'm going to say, okay, the pain is there. The pain and sorrow and loss is there. I'm going to step back for a minute. I'm going to come back. I'll dive in that river a little bit later. Friends, this helped me so much to know that that I had the choice of setting aside or delaying. Now, I know it's funny because you're like, Peggy, you just told me I'm supposed to feel all this. Yes, but you don't have to drown in it. So a time limit or a boundary or some type of marker where you're like, okay, we're going to go out and have dinner, and I'm going to enjoy my dinner just like my loved one would want me to. Or even though there's animal abuse in the world, I'm still going to walk my dog and enjoy this time with my dog together. I'm not going to allow myself to focus on all the suffering right now. I'm going to focus on the fact that I saved this animal and this animal is safe. So that has helped me quite a bit to have a time frame of when I will allow my thoughts to go a certain way. Remember, friends, we have the ability to control our thoughts. Many of you haven't had that chance to practice that. That's what this show is all about. It's about taking every thought captive, examining the thoughts and saying, do I want to think that right now? No, I think I'm going to focus on that later. Or yeah, you know what? This is the time I really want to sort through this. I need to figure this out in my mind. I'm going to grab that thought. I'm going to work it out. I'm going to write about it. I'm going to talk about it. So you get to choose, and you get to choose those feelings, believe it or not. So what I'm expressing here is that feeling sadness, allowing sadness, and then knowing that you can step back from it when need be is going to give you the power to actually work through your feelings without letting them be pushed under the surface. Because think about a beach ball. The more you push it under the surface, the more you try to bury it, the higher and more powerfully it's going to bounce back. If you're just, there's a little bit of sadness there and you just, okay, I'm going to let it come forth, and then it doesn't all pile up. So I talked about acknowledging it, allowing it, feeling it physically, and then also comforting yourself. So doing something really special for you is so important with sadness. I don't even know what number I'm on, maybe 4 or 5, doesn't matter. Doing something for yourself, self-care, is one of the most important ways to overcome sadness. When my brother died suddenly and tragically at the age of 33, I did not take I was wearing this hoodie and jeans, and I would not take those clothes off. I would not take a shower. I slept in those clothes. I did not want to remove those clothes because to me, it was like, these were the clothes I was wearing when he was alive. And finally, after about 5 days, my dear aunt, who came out to help us in our sorrow, said, sweetheart, you are never going to heal your heart until you take care of your body. I said, I don't feel like taking a shower. I was so immersed in my grief. I don't want to change my clothes. I slept in my clothes. And when she said, you can put the clothes back on, I still have that hoodie. I want you to take a shower. I want you to take care of yourself. Her act of caring for me was priceless. She's the beautiful aunt that gave me the phrase, the river of pain. Don't drown in the river of pain. You can get in, experience, hop back out. You have that within your control. You've got to take care of yourself in times of sadness. This is the time to make yourself a cup of tea, have your favorite meal, get a massage, a facial, get your nails done, your hair done, if these are the things you like to do. During my times of sadness, I don't have a lot of energy. It's the most I can do maybe is go on a walk. I do like to swim. Sometimes I'll just do a very relaxing swim, or if you have a jacuzzi, I think hot baths for me, I really love. Anything that you can do to pamper yourself is so important. That is part of the self-soothing. So we will be talking, I've got a whole program called Life After Loss, which is a class that you can join in. I'll let you know when that's ready for signups, but because there's so much to go through. Sadness and grief can be similar, but they're not exactly the same. Sadness is a part of grief. When we are feeling the sadness and we've allowed it and we've cried the tears, it can be very, very exhausting. I think sadness and sorrow, loss and grief are the most physically and emotionally draining experiences we can have. Please take time to rest more. Take naps, get to bed earlier. And if you want, I'm just going to say, this is the time to have, maybe put on a funny movie. Look at some funny memes just to lift your heart a little bit, because you've already expressed it, right? We went through the expressing, we went through the crying and the writing about it and the tears and the towel and the talking to somebody and, maybe staying under the covers. We expressed it all. Now we want to start to heal. So that's where we take care of ourselves. And I remember a caring counselor told me in the depths of my sorrow, Peggy, you've got to watch funny movies and see more sunsets and rainbows. And I'm like, how can I do that? What right do I have to enjoy myself with all of this sorrow? And she said, those that are suffering need the rainbows and the sunsets and the funny movies even more than the people who aren't. God created you with an entire range of emotions. The sadness and the sorrow and the loss that I felt, in a strange way, has been a gift to my life. I have experienced emotions. I call it the treasure trove of emotions that many people never experience in life. I have a feeling you're the same way, which is why you're on this show and supporting each other. And I can see your beautiful messages. And G-Boy said elevated cortisol levels can cause illness, and which is true. And that is the cortisol is one of our stress hormones, which helps us wake up in the morning. But when it's elevated and not released, it has an actual physical harm to the body. It's really interesting. You may want to research that when you get off the show today. And it's amazing what it does to your aging, to your immune system. And it's something that has to be expressed and released. So the final tip that I want to give you, maybe we'll just run through them all. So you're going to be aware of your emotions. You're going to acknowledge them, allow them. I would say even appreciate it. Like, thank goodness I have something to be sad about. That means I had something that was important to me. So that's one way of looking at it. You're going to express your sadness physically through tears or maybe talking to somebody, like physically feeling the sadness. You're going to write about it. Number 5, you're going to start doing your self-care for the, number 6 is you're going to limit the times of your emotional distraughtness in a way that makes sense for you. Then you're going to do self-care to help you heal. And then number 8, now you're going to apply the lessons of that sadness. In my times of sorrow, the things that I've experienced, like I'm doing right now I want to help others because I know how hard it is to be sad, to have loss. And that is something that I've done. So you can apply the lessons of your emotions. And to me, that is where we really are fulfilling God's plan for us to use those emotions and the lessons of those emotions appropriately. And that takes thought to consider, what can I do with this now? What can I do with this now? Maybe I'll be more appreciative of something I have. I'm not saying you're not or I'm not, but what can you learn from the loss, from the sorrow? I've learned that sadness and sorrow is inevitable, that there will be loss in life. And I've also learned that I can get through it. At a very young age, having had a tragedy in our family, and a couple of years later, I remember reading my journals because I was always journaling about it. And I said, one positive that has come out of all of this is I know that I can heal, and that I can find joy again, and that I can continue to live even with this trauma, tragedy, and loss that we had. I can still persist. I can still participate in life. And I was a young age. I was probably 20 at that time that I wrote this. And I said, I will always remember this going forward, that I can still, overcome is too strong of a word because I don't want that to indicate that I've left it all behind, but I can move ahead even with these experiences, and not even with, but because of. And all my life, people have said, oh my gosh, Peggy, you're so cheerful, and you're so positive, and you're fun to be around, and you're uplifting. And many people assume that my life has been smooth sailing from day one, that I don't have a care in the world. And it's quite the opposite. It's because of what I've gone through that I know that every moment, every breath is precious, which is why I do not participate in any of this. It's like, that's all you got? Costco not letting me in to go shopping because I won't put on the scam. You think that's going to stop me? You have no idea who you're dealing with. All of this is a bunch of hogwash. There is nothing that I can't handle in everything that's come up, because I've been through it, and I know you have too. I'm going to leave us on this note, friends. I want to give a big shout out to all of the, I'm reading the comments right now, to all of our wonderful moderators. Thank you for keeping the stream positive. I really appreciate all of you. And I can see we've got some new Healthy Americans on with us today. This week I'm here Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m., the Healthy American morning. And this morning I had that song come to mind. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a wonderful feeling. Everything's going my way. Now, I don't even care that I sing off tune. I just like to sing. And singing is something that can put a lift in your heart as well. Thank you for going on this emotional journey with me, my friends. Today, I think, was probably, for me, the hardest emotion to talk about. So thank you for being part of this encouragement community. And tomorrow we're going to talk about grief and regret. And some of you are like, oh no, that's the one I don't want to talk about. Don't worry, friends. I have tips for you as well. I hope you're going to do something nice for yourself. I'd like to hear back from you tomorrow all about what you did to nurture yourself today. A big thanks to everyone. Join me this afternoon, 3 p.m. Oh, I'm actually just about to hop on to Facebook, and I do a Facebook Live, and that is a little bit of a free form live where you can ask questions, and we'll talk a little bit more about current events. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you liking the video, sharing the video, and letting everybody know